For decades, whenever we've talked about global power, what comes to mind? Tanks, right? Aircraft carriers. But what if the most important battles today aren't being fought on a battlefield at all? What if they're being fought with balance sheets and supply chains? Well, that's the pretty radical idea behind the book War by Other Means, and that's exactly what we're going to break down right now.
I mean, just think about it for a second. Whenever you turn on the news, our foreign policy debates always seem to be stuck on the same questions, don't they? Should America deploy boots on the ground? Should we send more weapons to Ukraine? Should we intervene in Syria? These are the classic, old-school geopolitical questions that just completely dominate the headlines.
And what's the end result of this obsession with military tools? Well, it's this number right here, $4 to $6 trillion. That's the estimated cost to you, the taxpayer, for the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. It's just a staggering price to pay for outcomes that are, let's be honest, pretty cloudy at best. And that tells us something really, really crucial. Military force just isn't the silver bullet it used to be. Its returns are diminishing fast.
Okay, so if our most expensive go-to tools are failing us, what's next? Where do we even look? Well, it means we got to look beyond the traditional battlefield. We have to look past the bullets and the bombs to see the real competition that's already happening, already reshaping our world as we speak.
And that brings us to the core idea of this whole explainer. It's a single word: geoeconomics. Now, this is a term you're probably going to be hearing a lot more of, because, frankly, it describes the main arena where the conflicts of the 21st century are actually being fought.
So, what is it exactly? Okay, think of it like this. If geopolitics is this grand chess match, played with armies and diplomats, then geoeconomics is more like a high-stakes poker game. And the chips, they're entire national economies. It's not just about getting rich, oh no. It's about using those economic chips to make other players fold, to shape the entire world in a way that benefits you.
So let's just draw a really bright line between the two. Geopolitics? That's the classic clash of armies and embassies. Geoeconomics, on the other hand, is a struggle for influence fought with checkbooks and contracts. We're talking about a world where a sovereign wealth fund can be way more powerful than an aircraft carrier, and a brand new railway can be more strategic than a military base. It's a totally different game.
Okay, so who's actually good at this new game? Who's winning? Well, while some countries are still stuck debating troop deployments, nations like China and Russia are out there aggressively rewriting the rules of power as we go.
You have to hear this. The chairman of a Chinese state-owned oil company, he described one of their deepwater oil rigs as, and I quote, "mobile national territory and a strategic weapon." I mean, wow, that is not a businessman talking. That is a geoeconomic warrior. It's a world where every single commercial asset is just another tool of state power. And believe me, China's toolkit is huge. They're building these massive infrastructure projects, like the New Silk Road, and it's not just about moving goods around. It's about binding entire countries into their economic orbit. They use access to their gigantic market as both a carrot and a stick. And the best part? It's all funded through their state-owned banks, making absolutely sure that every single dollar serves Beijing's strategic goals.
And look, this isn't just some abstract theory. This chart right here, it shows what happens when a foreign leader decides to meet with the Dalai Lama. Bam! Their country's exports to China drop by an average of 8.1%. That is a calculated, cold, economic punishment for a political act. It's geoeconomics in action, and it comes with a very, very clear price tag.
Now, Russia's playbook, it's a bit different. It's often more like a blunt instrument, really. In its own neighborhood, Russia has weaponized its economic power over and over again. We're talking about shutting off gas pipelines in the middle of winter, banning food imports to just cripple a neighbor's economy, or dangling these massive bailouts in exchange for political loyalty. It's not subtle.
The 2014 Ukraine crisis was a perfect example of this clash of styles. On one side, you had the European Union offering the soft power of an economic partnership. But on the other side, Russia countered with the hard power of a $15 billion bailout and a big discount on gas. And, as one analyst put it at the time, in that specific fight, hard geoeconomic power won, plain and simple.
So this all leads to a really crucial question. If China and Russia are fighting this new kind of war, where is the United States in all of this? The book makes a really strong argument that America has developed this dangerous strategic blind spot. It's just consistently failing to use its own immense economic power.
And look, this isn't just some academic debate. This concern comes from the very top. We're talking about Admiral Mike Mullen, the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He's the one arguing that the U.S. needs a totally new organizing vision for its foreign policy. He's basically saying, hey, the old playbook is broken. We need a new one, now.
And you can kind of see how we got here if you look back. Right after World War II, America was the absolute master of geoeconomics. I mean, the Marshall Plan is the ultimate example of that. But then the Cold War happened, with its singular focus on containment. And then came the War on Terror, with its obsession with military solutions. And all that just pushed this kind of smart economic thinking to the sidelines for decades.
I mean, just take a look at the fight against ISIS. For years, the entire U.S. focus was on airstrikes and troop movements. It took way, way too long for us to seriously go after the thing that made ISIS so powerful in the first place. It's money. We were basically just fighting the symptoms, not the actual disease.
So why does this keep happening? Well, the book argues that inside Washington, the military option is just the easy button. It's simpler. It's faster to get funding and authorization for a drone strike than it is for a complex, long-term plan to, say, provide debt relief to a struggling ally to pull them out of China's economic influence. One is quick, the other is hard.
All right, so what does all of this mean for the future of American power? How does the U.S. actually adapt? How do you compete on a battlefield where the weapons are financial, not physical?
And let's be crystal clear about this. The biggest challenge to the current global order, it's not going to come from a military invasion. China's grand strategy is to completely alter the balance of power in Asia using primarily geoeconomic tools, not military ones. The main front in this new great power competition is economic. Full stop.
So what would a new American playbook even look like? Well, for starters, it would mean fully baking economic tools into foreign policy right from day one. It would mean creating our own big investment initiatives to actually compete with what China is doing. And it would mean developing totally new financial weapons. I mean, just imagine being able to financially cripple a brutal regime by sanctioning its future contracts, all without firing a single shot. That's the idea.
And all of this leaves us with one essential, final question to think about. In an age of geoeconomics, in a world where supply chains can be turned into weapons and financial markets are the new battlegrounds, what is the true currency of power? Is it the dollar or is it the drone? The answer to that question, well, it's going to define the rest of the 21st century.